What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Jeff's Reese deck that he played for the Retro Round 1 Campus Championship. So, what is Retro? Jasco has decided they're going to be doing an online Retro event, and so what we have decided to do is take and make a bunch of decks for this format, and what that format is from the Red Horizon set all the way forward up until now. No promos. There's a small ban list, which I will link in the description down below, but this format is unbelievably fun. There's a lot of really cool, interesting interactions, and characters have been opened up, and some cheeky stuff is getting played. So, my goal for this week is to show you what's going on inside of this Reese deck. Let's jump into it. All right, so Reese 1 dot. If you haven't seen one of my deck profiles before, basically what I'm going to be doing is, as opposed to reading off the cards verbatim, I'm going to be telling you more of how the deck wants to operate in the cool cards and combos inside of the deck. So what does this Reese deck want to do? This Reese deck is really, really cool. He's one of my favorite original Red Horizon characters. He takes bad cards from your hand, and he discards them in order to clear punch attacks from your card pool to make your progressive low, and then he commits resources in his staging area after your punch attack, after your punch attack deals damage, he draws a card. And so the whole engine wants to revolve around the punch keyword and using bad cards in our hand to make sure that we're allowed to play the good cards in our hand, and using bad cards in our staging area to draw more cool punch attacks. It's like this. He himself is like his own little engine, and with all the readying stuff that Air gets to do, this deck is really, really solid. You'll see why. So, onto the attacks. The first attack that we're playing 3 Katarina Shot. This card is just a lead-in attack. It is a combo starter. While it exists in the card pool, all of your punch attacks just get +2 damage. And so if you hit with Reese, they're just going to be hitting even harder. It does mean that they have to attempt to block everything, and it means that we have to play less punches in order to get the job done. Sometimes with the Reese deck, we have to play 4, 5, 6 punches. Well, with Katarina Shot making all of those punches basically a punch and a half, 2 punches turn into 4 punches very quickly. And so Katarina Shot's really good, as well as we got some ways to add this back into the card pool without just playing it. The next attack that we're playing is 3 Bloody I Rampage. This is just a really good aggro card. It just says my next punch attack is +3 damage. This gives a bit of a mind game card, because if I have a Katarina Shot in my card pool and I play the Bloody I Rampage, it says that my next punch attack is going to get +5 damage. So it's possible they're just not going to waste the resource to block the Bloody I Rampage at 6 damage, and so then you can clear it with Reese next and then draw an additional attack, or draw an additional card, additional resource. Just do a bunch of stuff, and then maybe you just build back out. Maybe this is just like a really solid poke. Maybe it is setting up to hit like a really solid punch kill turn. We don't know. The draw card off the speed is a little irrelevant. It's not going to happen a ton inside of this deck, but it certainly can happen. Up next, we've got a bit of a flow card, and I forgot to mention this at the top. We are playing the Retro event, and the Retro event that Jasco's hosting is going to be online. So normally these King of Fighters cards are a little hard to find, which is, as the TCGU, we don't have all of them. But when you play online, you're going to have access to everything that you want to play. And this card, Coho, is just both players add a card from the hand of momentum. Not very relevant, but it does say your next air, which is important. Air attack gets -2 difficulty. So basically it says in progressive, this one doesn't count and the next one gets -1, if we want to look at it that way. Do simple math. One big issue with this card, though, is it is a too high for 5, which means it's probably going to get blocked a whole heck of a lot. The next punch attack is very similar to Coho. It is Asimov's Frenzy. So Coho is a 5 difficulty that just says your next punch gets -2 difficulty. Asimov's Frenzy is a punch attack that says discard a momentum, which Coho can generate for us. Your next check to play a punch or weapon attack, we only play 1 weapon, gets +2. And so as these cards kind of do the same job. They're just a little separately a kind of a different job. This also does have a punch combo ability, and so like one of the cool things that you can do with the cool combos that we play is you play the Katarina Shot, you play the Coho, you actually leave the Coho in the card pool, and then you play your Asimov's Frenzy. From here, your punch requirement matches. Using Reese, we discard a card, kick it from the card pool, and then I continue to play more cool cards and just play out the rest of my turn, getting as much advantage as I can. Just like a really, really cool stuff. So with that said, be careful how you're playing your turns out, because it's a lot of times we're playing our punches on a 6 difficulty, and Reese is wanting to commit foundation. So resource management is incredibly important whenever we're playing this deck. And then the last punch The reason we're playing the entire deck is Valiant Assault. Jeff has told me that this is his absolute favorite card in the entire game, and there's a great reason. It just says combo with a punch, draw 2 cards. Perfect inside of Reese. It's his best card. And it also says if it deals damage, look at the top card of your deck. So the way that this works is you have the Valiant Assault. It deals damage. The static of Valiant Assault will let me see that it's a punch, and I can choose to leave it on top or put it on bottom. And then once it deals damage, because Valiant Assault had to deal damage to look at the top, I can commit my foundation and then draw a card. Or if it's a foundation and I don't want to draw the foundation, I can leave it on top, not respond with Reese, and guarantee my check. Or if I'm trying to dig a little further, you know, there's tons of options that we can have. This card's incredibly versatile. But the best part is it just draws 2 cards, and who doesn't want to draw more cards? Onto the actions and assets. We are playing double Weapons Enthusiast. Weapons Enthusiast is a really good starter card. It's a very aggressive action, and it just says first form, my punch attacks get +1/+1 for the rest of the combat phase. So if I can figure out how to get rid of this card or keep my progressive down low, everything's just going to get a little bit stronger. The enhanced return at speed to printed value is fine, but the fact that this card does not have a block means I pretty much never want to hold it on defense. I always want to just, hey, I'm going to first form and then sling as many attacks as possible. Do be wary though, it does not. It does still count towards progressive difficulty, and it doesn't remove itself from the card pool. Unlike Ominous Whistle, one of the best flow cards for the air symbol ever. This card doesn't count as progressive, and it says form for the rest of the combat phase. Whenever you discard a card out of your card pool, which Reese does on his character card, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an attack, you get to add it to your hand. So it's kind of like the Valiant Assault Reese combo, but it's all packaged inside of one. So as long as you can pass this 5 difficulty without committing too many foundations, you just get to make sure and guarantee that your 5 checks happen on top of your deck. I'll discard the card. Oh, I'll look at the top. Oh, it's a 5 check. I guess I'll leave that there and know what I'm checking. Or, oh, look, it's an attack. Well, I know I'm not checking that, and I've added another aggressive piece to my hand. This card is fantastic, and if you're playing inside of any of these 3 symbols and you discard any number of cards from your deck or from your card pool, you should be playing it for sure. Up next, we've got the assets, and here are where the big proxies are coming in, because they are King of Fighters assets. Oh, I missed an attack. Oh my goodness. This is what I get for playing proxies. We're going to go back to this attack. My apologies. We're playing 4 Shen Tensen Hayoken. This card is really good as a finisher. It is a 4/2 without a block. It is a 4 mid for 6, so it's a 4 mid for 8 inside with the Katarina Shot in the card pool. And its main ability, it has a Rio response, which we're not going to care about. Its main ability says, enhance, draw 2 cards, only playable if you don't have any cards in your hand. So with us discarding cards from our card pool with Reese's ability, being able to play this as the last card, discard a card, clear a different card from our card pool, and then using Tenchi, and draw 2 extra cards, maybe draw a little bit more gas, and push a little harder. This card is fine, but do be wary, it does have that 2 check. Yeah, my apologies for missing it. Okay, Team Art of Fighting, back on track. So this card says form if you have at least 3 air and order attacks, which all of the Asimov Katarina support is, you can add 1 attack from your card pool back up to your hand. So you add a punch back up to your hand and then toss it back in. It is a little counterproductive with what Reese has going on, but it does kind of hit the combo that Reese wants to have of, I need to have Katarina Shot, a punch, and then another punch in order to hit my combo to draw my 2 extra cards, and then I'll leave it there, form, commit, add my Valiant Assault back to my hand, play it once again. And so, like, there's some combos. It also says enhance check of 5, add an air or order attack from your discard pile to your card pool, and the best choice for that is obviously Katarina Shot. Just make all your stuff a little bit stronger. Up next, we've got Rios Motorcycle. So Rios Motorcycle is a fantastic aggressive card. It says response after you play a punch attack, discard 2 cards, add a punch from your discard pile to your hand. So it's just, hey, I really need this specific thing and I want to get rid of these foundations, as well as I want to get cards out of my hand so that my 2 check can draw me 2 extra cards. Rios Motorcycle is the way to do it, as well as it gives you a little bit of extra information off the top of your deck. Onto the foundations. Our aggressive foundations are 3 Fighting with Loss. Holy cow, Reese loves this card. Enhance twice per turn, +1 damage for each card that's left your card pool. So basically what it says is every time that I discard a card, all of my attacks are going to get an additional +1 damage, as well as it is we're clearing our cards pool for progressive. And it doesn't have a cost like a ton of the old cards. It just is twice per turn, : There's no commit, no flip, no nothing. And so it's like, hey, my already big punches are going to get even bigger. You have to block everything. In the same vein, in the same idea, we've got DLN0, whereas Finding What's Lost is like a guaranteed damage pump, DLN is kind of a bit of a gamble. It says Enhance Destroy. If this attack deals damage, they take damage equal to the number of cards that I've discarded. And so this is saying, hey, you have to deal with this. It already has the stats. This is saying, I bet I'm gambling that you're not going to deal with it, or you're forcing out a play to make them deal with it in order to force them to make some sort of move. This is much more of a mind games card as opposed to Finding What's Lost, which is just raw damage. Up next, arguably the card that makes this deck even playable for Hand of a Tyrant. It has this really amazing Reese enhance that says your punch attack gets +1 speed. As you can tell, with everything that we've done inside of the deck so far, everything's just been damage, 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 damage. Well, damage does not win games, speed does. Having double Hand of the Tyrant in your staging area is what is going to push all of your attacks through in order to make sure that you can clean out the game, make sure that your response can work, as well as it's got a cool air enhance of enhance, destroy this foundation, ready your character. This is really good versus things like Stop, or back in the older formats, there are things that commit a card in my opponent's staging area. Well, Hand of a Tyrant is one of those ways to stop that from happening. One of the best ways to stop Reese, commit him. He no longer gets to do his cool things. Well, as Hand of a Tyrant, I'm just going to destroy it and ready back up my character. My engine's going to keep swinging. Up next, we've got the second Saintly Beast. I put this as an aggressive card as opposed to a defensive one, just because, like I said, we don't have a ton of speed pumps inside of the deck, and we have to make sure that our really big attacks go through. So just discard the top 3 cards, +2 or -2 speed. It can be used for defense, but who cares about that? Just kill them. The Deadlock Enhance is probably never going to be relevant, but when it is super, super strong. So if you have your choice of +2 or -2 speed, I suggest the second Saintly Beast pretty much 100% of the time. And then my last aggressive card in the deck is double Street Justice. Enhance commit. If my punch attack deals damage, my next one gets 2/2. It's another one of those deal with it cards of, hey, I'm telegraphing what my play is a little bit, and I'm betting that you can't deal with it, or I'm forcing you to deal with it, and I don't necessarily care that I get the +2/+2 off of it. In addition to that, it also is a bit of a flow card because of it being a second copy of Reese. Enhance, commit, lose 2 vitality, discard a punch attack from my card pool. And so maybe I do have a couple cards in deep, or maybe they did happen to get the stop on me. Well, Street Justice can make that discard engine start up if necessary. Onto the flow cards, the cards that kind of make the deck run. We've got 4 Artifice Avarice. This card is fine as an aggressive card, but like its primary job is after I check this, I get to draw a card. We are playing plenty of order attacks though, so in committing it for the +2 speed is fine. But man, it feels so good to just check it off the top of my deck and trade a resource I was never going to have for a new one that I can use. What a fun card to have back in the format. Up next, we've got double Made for Speed. This card's one of my favorite cards inside of the reset, just because of, like, 1, it looks cool. Look at he's driving a cool sports car. And 2, it just says that I get to extend my combos out further. Maybe I don't have one of these really awesome cards that let me look at the top card of my deck. Well, I'm afraid if I check a 3, I'm going to fail this turn. If I check a 5, I'm going to win the game. Well, form, I'll make sure that I check my 5 just by tossing it up on top of the deck. As well as it's just a really good spam. 0, 5, 3 low block. What more could you ask for? Up next, Tijuana Groceries. The reason that Reese is even playable, honestly, I think this card inside of Reese is just genuinely unfair. This card says that they have to block everything. One of the ways that you can stop Reese from playing the game is he actually overcommits himself. My opponent as Reese is trying to draw up a ton of cards and make sure they can find that kill turn, but I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're probably going to draw a foundation instead, or that's what we're hoping at least, and they've committed a bunch of resources in order to draw a bunch of bad foundations. Well, as Tijuana Groceries, I've committed it for my cost. I play my next attack, and then I just ready it back up. I haven't lost any resources. I just removed 2 foundations out of my discard pile. Who cares? This is just it's just a free draw card if you let me hit you. This card is what makes Reese go from fine, he's okay, to genuinely scary. We've got 1 Hellward Bound. This is just this Reese's ability on a form speed, so it's way harder for my opponent to interact with it. The enhance remove is probably never going to happen, but I need to get a card out of my card pool in order to make sure that I can pass my next check. Hey, I'll just get rid of it and still have a ready resource for Reese to then commit. In the same vein as Tijuana Groceries, we've got Wandering Pirate. Wandering Pirate is one of those cool cards that says it turns these 2 foundations into 4 foundations. So as Reese, I'll commit this in order to draw my card. On the next attack, I'll commit my Wandering Pirate to draw a card, and then we'll ready this back up. And then with Reese, I'll commit it again. So now I've drawn 3 cards if I hit you. From there, it's now my opponent's turn. The static happens, and then I get to ready this back up. Response, once it's readied, I get to ready back up my Hell's Reach. Or my Hellward Bound, excuse me. And then I get to do it again on if I hit a reversal. Maybe that's how you build your deck. But this card just says I turn 2 foundations into now, with Reese, 5 foundations. That seems pretty okay. Up next, we've got double Hell's Reach. This is just essentially a once per game ready this foundation. So you commit it with Reese's ability, and you still want to be aggressive. So play ball committed, you flip and then ready the foundation. That seems okay. Also, like we said with the going fast card, it's really good spam. Double United Against Terrorism. This is just an insurance card. It says if I check bad, if I discard my card in order to make a card leave, I get to ready some stuff up. And so it's just a bit of a safety net. It kind of works in the same way as Hell's Reach, but it's a little more reactive as opposed to proactive. Up next, we've got Betrayed by the Family. We're now getting a little more into what could be considered the disruption of the deck. Disruption or defense. Response commit after my attack receives a speed or damage penalty. They're probably going to do damage because I'm slinging my attacks absolutely massive. I get to commit and then stop one of their cards. And then at the start of my opponent's combat phase, it gets to ready back up. This is a really good combo with Reese. It's kind of like a one-time free foundation in order to use his response after I deal damage. I'll commit it because they're not going to be stopping my speed or my damage. And then at the start of their turn, I get to ready back up. If you remember, I said one of the ways to beat Reese is to make him overcommit himself. Well, this is one of those cards that just doesn't make him do that. Onto the true defense, we've got 3 Allurophobia, another one of those beautiful cards to have back in the retro format. Enhance flip. If this attack is blocked, deals no damage. It's just a perfect block, and not to mention, it has a really good 3 low block. Low blocks are really, really strong inside of the retro format just because there's a lot of really good characters to deal with, or that deal with low attacks, and low attacks are honestly kind of nutty. In the same vein, for our defense, we are playing 3 Conquest of Terror. This is the only speed reduction that we have inside of the entire deck, and it is flip for -2 speed, or once they're desperation, commit for -4 speed. It can give plus speed, so we could put it in the aggressive column, but it's definitely a win more card whenever they're there because they're already at desperation. You're already pseudo winning the game, and so we want to make sure that we keep them. We want to make sure that we stay alive as long as we can because our character is so cool. We want to keep playing it. Onto the True Disruption, we've got double Push the Limit. This card just says after I play it, my opponent flips one of their foundations. They get to choose. It's just a really good spam, and once again, just a nice solid low block. And then my last disruption is 3 Ageless and Wise. This card says that, hey, my foundation area is really, really cool, and I'd like to leave it there. Inside of the retro format, I believe this is one of the most important cards in the entire game. There are cards like Self-Destruct or the Lily Ultra Rare. I'm sure that you know what it is. It's escaping me at the moment. That just says ruin your entire staging area. A Self-Destruct is destroy every card in both player staging area, and they get to build a card. And with a simple flip, you cancel that first form, and you kind of put them back an entire turn. This card is incredibly, incredibly important, and if you're going to be playing in the tournament, I suggest you play 3 and then sideboard the 4th. Thank you very much for watching this deck profile. Jeff had a blast with this deck. I think this is a really, really fun, good take on the Air Reese deck. If you like this and you want to check out the matches that Reese played, make sure you check out the playlist as well as all of the other matches that we played, as well as the profiles here on the channel. And if you want to join us live, please go out to twitch.tv/TCGUniversity and follow out there so you know when we go live anytime that we're playing any sort of card games. And if you want to talk with us about your idea for a Reese deck, we would love to hear you. Go out to patreon.com/TCGUniversity, sub out there at the $1 level, get access to our Discord, and we have people out there chatting with the faculty as well as the rest of the student body all the time. So, from all of us here at TCG University, thank you very much for watching and stay learned.